Hello, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Today I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into a topic I just recently made a video on. You guys were all super loving about that topic and it was really exciting for me to make. That video that I just made, which of course I will link up here, is, or maybe it's up here, I never know which direction. Anyway, you know where the little eyeball is. Was my favorite things to see in books. And it became really clear when I made that video that my favorite things in books are relationships, whether romantic or otherwise. And today I wanted to dive more into a subset of that, which is romances, because I've shared over and over again, romances are usually what keep me interested in a book if like the plot isn't super great, because I'm all about human connection and love, and I'm a hopeless romantic, and I mean, let's just be real, I am. So I wanted to dive into 5 different kinds of relationships in books, and when they're, I'm not gonna go into when they're done badly, because any one of these on here can have been done badly, especially the first one, which I'll show you in a second. But there is always an exception where they're just done perfectly and they just speak to my little heart. And so I wanted to share with you like which ones are my favorite and a couple that does this. So right off the bat, there are going to be spoilers in this video for A Discovery of Witches, Akamath, Fallen Kingdoms, Onyx and Ivory, Starry Eyes, The Host, and Shadow and Bone. Because if you haven't read one of these, sorry, there's spoilers for them. But I mean, I'm only telling you who loves each other in each one. Sorry. Whatever. This is a spoiler video. If you don't want to know, you can leave. They're all kind of older books anyway. But anyway, let's start with When Done Right, Insta-love. One of the most debated, hated, dirt thrown at tropes there is Insta-love. However, I found it really adorable in A Discovery of Riches, which I just read a couple weeks ago. And I just finished the second one. I didn't like the second one, but how the two characters meet and how they fall in love. It's a witch and a vampire, and I loved it. I gave it a very high rating. I love Matthew and Diana, and I will fight for them. I will fight for them, because they're awesome. And it's why I'm still reading this series, even though the second book crashed and burned, in my opinion. It definitely wasn't the love story that crashed and burned. There was other things that were burning, just saying. So I just love how they met. I love that it almost was an enemy to lover, but they weren't enemies long enough for it to have been a thing. Like, it's just that natural enemy of like, witch and a vampire aren't supposed to be friends or whatever. But I loved how they met. I loved how passionate it was. And I just loved that they end up working together in a really unexpected way, and I just adored it. So I'll fight for it. It's my favorite Insta-love that I've seen in a while, so I definitely wanted to share it. Next, I have one of my favorite tropes, and that is romance tropes, and that is enemies to lovers. It's one of my favorites. Whether that is an arranged marriage from enemy countries and they're forced into this relationship together, whether it's just a perceived enemy where you are just like, ooh, I don't like that person, I don't like that type of people, but I love this one, or there was just something that went totally wrong in the beginning of meeting where we're instant enemies, but then there's that spark behind the hate, because they say love and hate are so close together. So let me share 2 of those with you. The first is Cleo and Magnus in the Fallen Kingdom saga. There is 6 books in this series. I love it. I feel like it doesn't get talked about enough. It has a rich cast of characters, and 2 of those characters are Magnus and Cleo, who later on in the series, not too late, just in the second book of this, they are forced into an arranged marriage, and they hate each other. She is in love with someone else, and Magnus would rather love anyone else but Cleo. And they're just kind of forced to be each other's allies when the king of this country goes psycho, and they're just kind of forced to be allies. And since they're already married to each other, that type of ally leads to other things being allied as well. And I love it. It was steamy, it was great, but there's also an excellent story happening in this book. Next up, another controversial story that has gotten so much hate, and I don't see it. But I won't shade you if you hate it, but I love it. And again, I will fight for it. And that is Rhysand and Feyre in A Court of Mist and Fury. And I just love them. Reese wins me over. He, for me, explains his actions in the first book, which is why he's an enemy, is things he does in the first book. And he does some really bad things, and they're scary. But for me, when it's explained, I understand why he did them. Maybe Sarah could have written it differently, but I don't care. I love Reese, and the things that he's been through, I know that he was trying to do his best. And when they get together, it is so satisfying for me. I don't care if people think it's problematic. I love it, but I love this enemies to lovers trope, and I feel like it's done very well in this book. Next is one that is a recent love of mine, and I think I've shared this in a few... I think I've shared it in the videos about these books because I've done reviews for both of these books, which again will be linked up above. The first I'm showing is Starry Eyes by Jenn Bennett, and again, I love her because she spells her name like mine. Love you, Jenn. She has a new book coming out next year, and I'm really excited about it. But this is about these two kids that they were friends for a long time, and they're on the precipice of love, and then something goes wrong. And then about a year later, they end up on a camping trip together, and worst comes to worst, they end up there alone, and they really kind of have to talk about what went wrong and see if there's still a chance for them. And this is a contemporary romance. It was really cute. It actually has some fun little action scenes in it that I wasn't expecting, which was super cute. And it was all about camping and just falling back in love. And I love Lennon and Zori. They were so cute. This was just a real, like, I bought this book like by accident almost, and I ended up loving it, and I really like this trope. The other book that fits into it is on my top 5 reads of this year. The cover for the next book just slays me. I'm so excited for the sequel to this. But that is Onyx and Ivory, by Mindy Arnett. The cover, ooh, sorry, bad lighting here. I'm filming in front of the window instead of my lights, so it's a little bit, sketchy. This book is so good. But really for me, the romance between Kate and Corwin is so great. Another case of, well, obviously this is the childhood lovers reconnected, is they were dating each other. He is one of the princes of this land. She was the daughter of the horse trainer. So there really wasn't much of a future for them. And there really isn't a future for them once There really isn't a future for them once Kate's father tried to kill the king and was put to death for that, obviously. And she gets labeled Traitor Kate and has to kind of leave where she lives and try to make a way for herself. But events conspire to get her in the same place as Corwin again. And Corwin realizes that she's the one for him and wants to make it work no matter their different stations, no matter what's happening in the world. And I look forward to seeing how it ends when the next one comes out. I don't know if it's just a sequel or a trilogy yet. I don't think Mindy has said, but I am super excited for, I believe it's called Shadow and Flame as the next one. And the cover is like, this tree is burning now, and I'm so excited. Check out my review. I do a spoiler review for it because I loved it. All right, number 4 is slow burn romances. Now, for the life of me, every single slow burn romance I know just popped out of my head when I was making this list. But this one, I went back in time a little bit and picked out an older fave of mine. At the time when this book came out in 2008, I read it like 4 times. Sadly, I only have the movie cover of this book, so please don't judge it by the stupid YA pop cover. This is an adult fantasy, and they made it into a teen YA movie, so please don't judge the cover. But it's Ian and Wanda in The Host. I think it's a beautiful slow burn. It is really about 2 souls falling in love, not just falling in love with the physical appearance, and Ian is one of the sweetest. I love it so much. Like, I want to just rip the cover off here. And I love Stephanie Meyer's romances, but this one, it is very good. It is a very complex story. It is very interesting alien race and what it means to be overtaken. Like, maybe they have your good in mind and not just destruction. And it's just very interesting. But the romance in here is amazing. I love it so much. You should definitely check this out if you haven't. And again, just buy the normal cover. Don't buy this one. The book is great. The movie is shit. I said it. It's bad. Then the last trope I decided to put into this is friends to lovers. This differs from childhood lovers reconnected because they stay friends and then it merges into a romance later. I haven't read too many of those where I feel it's done successfully because I feel like in this trope, it's usually two friends and then like one of those friends falls in love with someone else. And now the other friend is like, hey, wait, I've been in love with you this whole time. Why'd you fall in love with someone else? And then you're like, you snooze, you lose. You didn't ask your friend out, so you don't get them. But anyway, I picked Mal and Alina in Shadow and Bone. This relationship goes through its ups and downs after this, but I really like that, you know, Mal didn't really realize how he felt about his friend until she was like removed from him. And then he realized, wow, I was in love with her. I kind of messed that up. And, you know, he goes after it. So I don't know. I really liked it. I read this book at the beginning of my booktube journey here. And I really just love this story. I want to reread them, but it was a painful story to get through, so it's hard to reread. But I'm super excited for King of Scars. That comes out in the spring. It's going to be amazing because Nikolai is awesome. He's great. So anyway, that is a few of my favorite romances, the different tropes they break into, and a few recommendations for you if you like those kind of romance. If you have any recommendations for me, I am all about them. Give them to me. I'm about romance. That's what I want. I like fantasy. I like all those things. But if the romance isn't good, I'm usually not having a good time. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. I make new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. All my links are down below. Thanks for stopping by the Book Refuge and have a great day. Bye.